Well, thank you, TrustAFlumph. Thank you very much for joining us for here.
Oh yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
I really enjoyed watching your all's commentary because that helped to prime me for tonight. Just listening to your all's opinions on things, and I thought that I'm gonna let you bring it up because it was brought up on your show, which was a good point about the wild magic. The perhaps the untold direction that was taking regarding the effects that can happen. But I thought it was a lot of fun, and I do want to use this moment to say to everyone else in chat that if you haven't already checked out D&D Time, the letter D, the letter N, the letter D Time, please do so. And in fact, TrustAFlumph, if you want to drop a link to your website, which of course it leads to your stream, your Discord, all that. Look, I mean, if you all out there like what I do, I mean, I have very minimalist production value, and I'm just a dude on camera and in a microphone. You got to check out D&D Time because those mad lads over there have an awesome they have an awesome setup. I've been eternally jelly of them, which is actually a good thing because it keeps you strong. It keeps you like, all right, I'm gonna pursue this. I want to achieve a goal and a dream and a hope, and yeah. So that's please make sure to give TrustAFlumph and Shymek, a.k.a. Jeremy and Pete, a look. And you know what? I'm sorry I can't show up tomorrow. I wanted to sign up for D&D Time, but tomorrow I have an engagement that might not allow me to show up on time.
You know what? All good, my dude. Maddie, you don't have to play every time. That's the lovely part about D&D Time. Play when you need. Play when you want.
And considering you run a game for 12 people every Friday, anyone looking for a D&D game should definitely give you all a look.
Perhaps they should. At the website, linked in the chat. Thank you very much. But we don't need to flatter me anymore. D&D Time is lovely and all, but so is Maddie Ward. Maddie, what are we doing? What are we doing tonight?
So I will provide the link once more in the chat. So if you all want to play along at home, Unearthed Arcana is playtest material. It's free to access, and Wizards keeps they'll put out a survey period where if you would like your voice heard, you say, oh, this is absolutely horrendous. It outdamages everything, and it is horrible, and it is literally the worst. Make sure you capitalize literally. Or you can give, you can give whatever feedback, because 5th edition from the ground up has been built on player feedback. When we were transitioning away from 4th edition into 5th, all sorts of play tests went out and feedback, and they've kept up with that. And that's been kind of a trend. In Final Fantasy XIV, they regularly put out letters from the producer where they talk about the state of the game, the things that they're doing. And also, I think that this is a good clue for some content that we're going to be seeing, as we have 2 subclasses, one for Monk and one for Barbarian, and tonight we're going to focus on Barbarian. The Barbarian deals with the Feywild, and the Monk deals with the Astral Plane. And so that has me kind of thinking we might be doing a little bit of tickling around, maybe for like a plane shift, or like some sort of a plane hopping setting. I mean, there's a couple of those that exist in D&D.
I mean, they've been throwing little modrons and things for so long. Come on, give me mechanics. Give it to me.
Now, I will also say, if only to muddy the waters on purpose, this could even be stuff that shows up in Eberron, because the new Eberron book, the official hardback printing book, is coming out in November. And Eberron is absolutely in the middle of a big old it's one grape on the vine, and all the other grapes are different planes that just sort of open up and touch Eberron in different ways. And so I could make an argument, even if it's a weak one, I could still make an argument that the Astral Plane and the Feywild, testing these out, might be more class support for Eberron instead of just including the Artificer.
Well, what's interesting, right? And I know I don't want to talk too much of the Astral Self Monk, but it doesn't actually tie you to the astral plane at all. Like, it doesn't ever even say astral plane in there. That could be psionics for all matters, right? Oh.
All right. Well, a counter jab then. All right. Well, let's get into it. So this is playtest content, everyone. We're going to be making characters that are otherwise player handbook. Everything else except the subclass is going to be above board printed material. Signed, sealed, delivered, as this is a part of 5th Ed. And so now let's see if we're going to make some really super broken stuff. And for tonight, we're going to make 2 barbarians. Both of them are going to be 14th level. That way we at least get the capstone for the subclass here. And if you want to stick around for one or both, Jeremy, you're welcome to do so.
You're going whole hog here.
And, because this is what I want to do as well. There's a moral to this story. And that is we're going to make 2 barbarians that are the same subclass. Same class and subclass. And we're going to make 2 monks of the same class and subclass. And on Saturday, to top everything off, I'm going to look at the party and I'm going to show why it's absolutely fine and viable that you can have overlapping classes and or subclasses in a party and the party's still functional. Because I think a lot of us have that inbuilt, well, someone's playing a wizard, so I can't. Are you kidding me? With all the different schools of magic, or even if you take that out, you could just be playing a charisma wizard, and the other one is just like is a muscle wizard. You could even both be conjurers if you really want to. But anyway, we'll save that for later.
Whole nother discussion.
Yes. All right, so the realm of the Feywild abounds with beauty, unpredictable emotion, and rampant magic. A barbarian exposed to this realm feels emotions powerfully, and magic saturates their body. When a barbarian who follows this path rages, it is a bellowing roar for freedom, an explosion of expression, manifesting in unpredictable ways. Path of Soul features, we're going to just skip over that because we're going to get to it as we build the character. This is your prompt. This is to get us in the mood, to get us thinking. You have the Eladrin from the Feywild, who don't explode with emotion, but they certainly shift mood and coloration as a part of that, as the Feywild, especially in 5th edition, I've noticed even over 4th, has been more about that capriciousness, that shifting. Things are always changing. Meanwhile, you have more of a stagnant, setting, more of a morose, suppressed feeling, an emotion that's tied to the, not the Underdark, to the Shadowfell. I'm going to bring up. Did you know, Jeremy, that there is this awesome new character generator that we've been using for a while?
That's weird. Where did you find that?
I'm looking at the top here, and it says it was created by TrustAFlumph for Matty Morgs. Oh my goodness.
Ridiculous.
You must have done some sleep programming.
Wouldn't be the first time.
Yeah. So what we're going to do, as much as I would love to click this, hey, you know what? I really would like to open up the option for a D&D Time race to have like a fungal Florin emotional barbarian, but I think we should probably keep it vanilla for right now.
Yeah, I mean, this is completely by the books except for the subclasses, which are not. But
yes,
everything else, keep it by the book.
All right, so we have the player's handbook, and the Matty Morgs here simply is it was my own little take on things like half orcs or tieflings. Like, are you more disposed to your human side or your fiend side or whatnot? So it's not really a +1 to the player's handbook. It's simply a perspective. Plus, it's my channel, so nanner boo boo. So for this character, I'm gonna roll a percentile, and we're gonna find out: do we have a female character, a male character, or are we gonna multi-class? Which actually, well, I don't know. We could multi-class if we do that.
Oh boy, that would throw a wrench in things.
It might, yeah. Still, let's find out where the dice lie, right? 40. All right, we have a female character, and let's bring down the race options here. There are 9 races in the Pahubba. And let's roll. I'm going to roll a d10 and just re-roll a 10 if I get it. A 5. We have a half-elf. And so what and this is where the Matty Morgs sort of sub-race comes into play. I'm going to roll the D10 again, and even if it's just as a tiebreaker, 51 to 49 kind of a thing, I'm going to roll a D10, and if I roll odds, we favor our human side, either genetically or culturally. If it's evens, our elven side. Odds. So we are a half-elf that in this prompt, female half-elf, favors human side.
Interesting.
Now, I'm going to use the balanced odds. Pardon me. Who knew soda made you burp? That's dumb. There's no warning on the label or anything. Did you know that?
I'd heard it somewhere.
The state of California should require labels.
That sounds like the kind of thing we do here.
This is a medical condition. Anyway, I'm going to do balanced odds because who knows who we're going to get. We could have a very evil emotional character, or we could have the purest, even, how do we have an emotional, lawful good character? Well, if we get it, we're going to find out together. Let's not take anything off the table. So, percentile, 55. That is, true neutral. How do we have someone who's centered themselves and found inner peace?
Wow. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, we got to put our thinking caps on.
Maybe they just usually have inner peace, but sometimes they lose it.
But that one, yeah. Well, the rage, right?
Yeah, there we go. Right.
Now, I did put a fix in for the level. We're making a 14, so at least we get our subclass capstone. So I'm not going to roll for the random level. I will roll to see if we're going to replace our 3 ability score improvements, a.k.a. ASIs, a.k.a. stat bumps for us plebs out there, to see if we're going to replace any of those with feats. And because, feats are another variable to help mix things up. So here's a percentile roll. Rolled a 31. We're all natural, baby. All natural. Now...
It's better that way.
We have a pure sample, and then we can sully the waters with feats and, other things later. Background sources. Oh, you know what? This reminds me. I got to add backgrounds from Ghost of Saltmarsh and Acquisitions Incorporated. It's good stuff. But, oh my goodness, with everything else, there are 62 backgrounds. So let's kind of bring this down a little bit. Boop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doop. Okay, there we go. So there are 18. There's technically 13, but there's extensions to a couple of them that brings us to 18 options. And so the one that we're going to get for this barbarian is... We rolled 8. A guild artisan. So we are...
a really weird character.
We're a maker. What are we going to make? So this is background. We are a guild artisan. And now we're going to roll a d20 and find out. We're Guild Artisan number 15. I'm not sure what that is yet, but we have a placeholder for it. A true neutral emotional barbarian who makes things. All right, so that is our background. Oh, and you know what? While we're here, I'm going to roll 2d8 for our personality traits, number 2 and number 4. And then 3d6 for an ideal, bond, and flaw, which is 3, 4, 2 respectively. 3, 4, 2. All right, good. We have some placeholders now. Those are the backgrounds, class and subclass. Well, we already know that. We are going to be a barbarian. I'm just going to put wild after that in parentheses. So unfortunately, we don't get that golden D12. But, yeah, you know what? If we really want to press it, we're rolling a barbarian, and barbarians and D12s get along pretty well. So we can still get our fix in. Class features, barbarians don't get a fighting style. They are their own fighting style. So lastly, but not leastly, if we come down here, a very dedicated Flumph did a wonderful thing. And if you see this drop-down menu... you can see that there are races and classes of all kinds. And so here's Half-Elf, and when you click this, well, goodness gracious, Great Balls of Fire, we now have the physical maturity, and as you were saying when we were talking about this, and I reinforce, this is the physical maturity of the character, not the racial, like, an adult for an elf is 100 years by the player's handbook, but they reach physical maturity of an adult, quote-unquote, at, in this case, it's,
20.
Around 20 or so, yeah, 20 plus 1d57, or depending on, if you're like, so first things first, let's find out how old is this character, and in Jeremy, do you find that, do you or others that you play with, do they put a lot of consideration into the age of their character? Or I think our innate bias, and I'm certainly guilty of this, is I'm X years old, so my character is like give or take 5 years, because that feels comfortable for me to roleplay.
I think a lot of people kind of default, gravitate to that kind of style, but I really, really like the kind of intellectual process that coming up with this last, because I feel like when people come to me with characters that are younger or older, that's the first thing they think of their characters. Oh, they're very young, or oh, they're very old. And I really like doing this toward the end here, where we already have all the other stuff, and now we're going to make it work. That's exciting to me. A lot of fun.
Well, we have a... yeah, for half-elf, I'm sorry. Not a full elf, but still, I don't know, 6 to 1, half dozen to the other, or a human to 1 half, or an elf to the other. We have a 70-year-old adult half-elf.
Oh, pretty average half-elf.
And now we are going to make her base height is 4 feet 9 inches tall, and we are going to roll 2d8. Move that back over. 2d8. We're adding 11 inches. Ooh, she's a tall drink of water here. So she is 4 feet and 20 inches tall.
Pretty average.
And then for our last bit of random number generation, outside of hitting this d12 to find out some great axe damage, we have we're going to take this 11 and we're going to multiply it by 2d4. So we're going to add 66 pounds to her base weight of 110. So she is 176 pounds. And this is her, this is just her dry weight. She gets up, whatever, puts on a, pants and a shirt. This isn't her gear or anything. This is just her. And, in some instances, or in many instances, we probably forget about this stuff, our height in inches or our weight. However, you can encounter things, especially in the jumping rules. In jumping, your height can just get you maybe that extra little bit to grab onto a ledge, or your weight. I've read a couple mods where a character's weight can have something collapse some rickety scaffolding, or can trigger a certain panel with a certain weight on it. So don't forget this stuff. At least take the time to randomly generate it if you don't want to automatically generate it yourself.
Yeah, without spoiling too much, in Dragon Heist just the other day we ran into something that
yes,
involves weights. So it's very interesting coming up with... Some players just rolled it on the fly there.
And as a DM out there, if you're watching this, don't be afraid to incorporate that stuff. Stuff like, I don't know, you want to run a tavern and you don't want, you don't want small folk in there. So as you described the tavern, there's simply a measuring stick outside that says you must be this tall to enter. And, and so maybe you just barely qualify or something. So yeah, and of course, if you want to ever, toss the party halfling over a barrier or something, a weight could come into play there. All right, so anyway, we have the outline for our character. We have things that don't necessarily make the character herself, but we have prompts. And I like saying that what we've done is we've created a constellation. We have a series of stars that you can look at it and say, okay, I get the gist of things. I can see the belt. I can see Orion's belt. But now we're going to actually take the trip to the planetarium and make it come alive in the sky. We're going to put the nice laser projection on there. We're going to fill in the detail, who is Orion and what is up with this belt. As we now take another analogy, we've cast our bones into the augury dish, and now it's time to sort through them and read the results.
I love this part.
So I'm going to open up our player's handbook to chapter 4. Unlike what they teach you in the player's handbook, I am a rebel in this regard. I love starting with the background, because your background will tell you about who the character is. I mean, we can conceptualize half-elf. We can, and statistically, half-elves are all the same. They get the same, kind of the same modifiers. You get what I'm saying, though. Saying someone's a half-elf is like saying, well, Jeremy, you're a human. Okay.
I am!
So cool. Though that doesn't tell us too much more. But who you are and what you do helps make you a unique human, and where we identify you with the things, who you are and what you've done for your hobby, your first job, and backgrounds reflect that, and they're absolutely a wonderful bridge between fluff and crunch, or, the lore of your character, the touchy-feely emotional stuff, the things that don't have really numbers associated, and then, D12 plus 11 billion, because I'm raging.
Is it really 11 billion?
I think once you get to, like, ability score 22 or something, it kind of goes up there. It gets closer anyway.
Fair enough. I was going to say, we're playing a barbarian, not a paladin.
All right, so we rolled, of all of the options, we rolled a guild artisan. And so we have this very smug-looking halfling, which I absolutely adore. And for the type of thing that we make, we rolled a 15 as a placeholder. So this means that she makes... Oh, she's a shipwright and a sailmaker. Or a sailmaker. A shipwright. Or either or, maybe both. Maybe it crosses over, and if you can build a ship, you should be able to sew a sail. Otherwise, if you're doing this at home, flip a coin. Heads, she's a shipwright. Tails, she's a sailmaker. Both are very valuable professions. She is going to get training, or in this case, proficiency. And I'm going to scoot this over just a little bit here. In insight and persuasion. Oh, we can make some very emotional pleas. Insight and persuasion. One type of artisan's tools. I reckon in this case, this might be carpenter's tools. Or you know what we should do? Maybe I should just do that and flip a coin here. I'm going to use the D12 here. I will not be denied the golden D12. On an odd, she's a shipwright. On an even, she's a sailmaker. So here we go. She's a shipwright. All right, so we're going to give her carpenter's tools. There we go. Which she's going to get in her pack down here, too. Carpenter's tools. Language is one of her choice. So as a half-elf, you get common, elven, and a racial bonus language, I think. If not, we'll get to that. But we also get a bonus language from her background. So she is multilingual. Equipment, so there's our artisan's tools. A letter of introduction from our guild. It's our papers that show that we belong to this organization. Letter of introduction. It shows that you're a journeyman or an apprentice or a master, and you work here and there, and these are your creds. A set of traveler's clothies. And a belt pouch with 15 gold. It pays to know a trade. And it really does, IRL too. My goodness. I think for a while here in our real life world, for folks who went to a vocational school, that was often, that's where they send the delinquents or whatever. Because they can't learn traditional math, or they don't pay attention in history. I'll tell you, if any of you go to a vocational school, you these days you're learning 3D printing, and auto mechanics make a lot of money in what they do. Electricians, there's a big need for that kind of skilled labor.
And you weren't drowning in as much debt as everyone else, which is always nice.
Mm-hmm. So guild business, we already rolled. Then we're a shipwright. And our feature is a guild membership, which is an awesome background feature. It makes you politically fluid, economically fluid. You know people, you know things, or where to find or get either. And it does come with a monthly upkeep cost. So what? For the benefits you get, the guild membership is really good. And you know what? If you ever go into like a sailing port city, most likely you could, it doesn't necessarily say it, but benefits could include free or discounted rooms at sort of guild affiliated hotels or like a hostel for workers kind of a thing.
You've got a really creative DM. It could be plot hooks.
Yes. Old Port says security license tripled your pay when you first got it. Best $250 ever. Now, so security license is like training that you're a private guard and or that you're bonded, or what does that mean? And hey, Donnie Sorrow, welcome. We're building an Unearthed Arcana Barbarian here, but of course we're starting with the background because a barbarian's a barbarian. This is a Shipwright Barbarian, and I think this has us ask more questions and really prompts us to open our minds than by starting with half-elf Barbarian, and then we throw the background on at the end like, I need insight, so which background gives it to me? Ah, cool. Whatever, I'm a guild merchant. You can make $25 an hour average nationwide watching cameras. Oh my. There's 150 nerds in the next room picking up a cushy $30 an hour. Woo! All right, everyone. I guess the stream's over. I gotta go get a cert.
See you later.
Yeah. And also for others like Refry, Silver Pirate, Host for Gold. By the way, thank you for the compliment, Host for Gold. I'm sorry I didn't say hi to you because we're in the zone making this character. So all right, let's continue. Here we go. Our personality and our ideal bond and flaw. The other stuff is a good setup. It primes us. This is where we learn so much about the character. And pro tip, as a dungeon master, you could be super lazy and just have your players submit their characters to you. And you pull NPCs, villains, setting stuff. They're giving you prompts to hook them into the story. You can be super awesome and super lazy at the same time doing this. Oh, she's hyped about the minis, Donnie. That's awesome, because I know you're you kind of clenched up a little bit about that. So I'll make sure that I'll provide the tracking info for you. Those will end up going out tomorrow. I didn't have a chance to stop by the post office today for you, Donnie.
That's the best reaction you get.
He was saying, I hope I don't get wife aggro for this. And hey, you know what? For any of you who play board games, tabletop games, or MMOs or the like, you know that it's real. It's real. All right. So what is her personality? Number 2. I'm a snob who looks down on those who can't appreciate. It says fine art. And of course, this is giving us some poetic license. We could take it literally, or we can kind of step sideways from it. So you can't appreciate fine craftsmanship or modern aesthetics in shipbuilding, sort of nautical engineering kind of a thing. So we can fill that in, whatever fine art is. I'm just going to put it in brackets. But she's definitely a snob about something. And you know what? We could even say she may be a shipwright, but she might just actually appreciate paintings and sculptures. And she considers that fine art. And she'll look down on people who can't appreciate these other forms. That's what I love about the backgrounds. All right, number 4. I'm full of witty aphorisms and have a proverb for every occasion. Just with this alone, Jeremy, whenever this wild magic manifests, I am automatically seeing it as like a story come to life. She likes art. She likes things. So she's taking these concepts that she feels so emotional about, and they manifest, and they manifest off of her as something that just occurs. Not just magic per se, but it's a thing.
Interesting, because you say that, I was immediately going in kind of the opposite direction.
Oh.
I was really inspired by when you were saying that she favors her human side.
Okay.
Right? And I'm thinking like, maybe she's super into all of this, like, hard work and craftsmanship, and she's super into, like, coming up with these proverbs and things that are like part of human culture, and the rage is kind of when she loses control of that and falls back to her more wild fae, elf.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But I mean, you can take it in two different ways. It's the same exact set of roles here with two incredibly cool characters.
Sure.
We're just done the personality. We got 2-3 more things.
I'm gonna make a note of this real quick so I don't forget it. So elf side is rage side, and art can be a manifestation of the wild magic. And if we don't use it, so what? We're out a couple of electrons for typing it onto a PDF. We just go and erase it. But if we're creative and we're throwing out ideas, I'd rather have more ideas to choose from than not. If you're in Las Vegas, you want that half-mile long buffet, then going and just saying, well, it's scrambled eggs, biscuits, or bacon, and that's it. And Crawdaddy's downtown. Thank you very much for the bits. I hope you're having an awesome night, Crawdaddies, and that things are absolutely hopping for you. All right, what is her ideal? Her ideal we rolled is number 3, which is freedom. Everyone should be free to pursue his or her own livelihood. And now, this says chaotic in parentheses, and you may very well say, hold up, Maddie Morgs and TrustAFlumph. This is absolutely ridiculous. You rolled a true neutral character. How dare you? How absolutely dare you have a chaotic ideal for a neutral character?
How dare we?
Yes, it has to be people because it says neutral after it. Now, I will ask you then, because I have an answer as well. How would you square this circle, Jeremy? How can you have a neutral character, and yet they have this desire, this yearning for freedom, to say, look, everyone, kind of a laissez-faire sort of attitude here.
Oh, as long as they aren't bothering them, why do they care, right? It doesn't. See, I feel like the true neutral characters really all caring about themselves, right? And about their own ability to live their life the way they want.
Mm-hmm.
And so, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Everyone, go ahead and do whatever you want. Fine, you're not hurting me.
Yeah, I'm not going to hurt you. You're not going to hurt me. So, as long as we stay in our zones, we're cool. Run a business, make tons of money, because then you'll buy ships off of me. When people buy ships off of me, I'll buy... Well, I'm looking at Crawdaddy's little emoticons next to the bits there. I'll buy ice cream from you.
Sounds pretty neutral to me.
I like that answer. Absolutely. Bonds. What is her bond to the world? I pursue wealth... to secure someone's love. We have an NPC baked into this character. So DMs out there, this is why you take note. Look, especially the bond. But now this makes us think. So she is emotional. Maybe her expression is that of a neutral person, though it doesn't mean she doesn't have feelings. She's not a Vulcan. Well, then there's Ponfar, but whatever. I pursue wealth to secure someone's love. Is this a romantic love? Is this the love of a family member? Does she come from a torn house? Where one parent is resentful, or one parent's missing, or even dead. It's if the human part had her at, let's say, 20, then now she's 70, the human parent might very well be gone, and she's only entering, well, she's entered, but she is in her adulthood. So she still has her elven parent. And does she need to earn the parent's love for some reason? There's so many ways that we can build a character and build a story from a prompt like this.
Absolutely. I mean, I was even thinking, like, hell, this could tie back into the broader kind of concept of this struggle, right, of humanity versus kind of fae, right, that she has. Maybe she's in love with a human, which is why she is pushing in this very human-centric direction with a love for craft and I don't know. I mean, that could be a reason too. It's so many things. Just ideas just float out. You know?
I love it. We're just opening the floodgates. It's this is so inspirational to do these. Now her flaw, because I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm a flawed creature. I think pretty much everyone in here can say the same. We rolled number 2. I'm quick to assume that someone is trying to cheat me. Huh. This is an excellent backstory prompt. Why is that? What happened? Did you actually get swindled at some point in time? Is this by an NPC or even by the villain that you'll end up going on to face? Lots of prompts here.
I love trying to like tie everything together still. I just can't help it. You're God. Like, where does this one fit in, right? Was she swindled by some sort of fey creature, which is why she like went away from that in the first place? Was she swindled by is she repeatedly swindled by the person that she's trying to earn the love from?
Oh, wow. Yeah,
and
yeah.
She knows it, but she doesn't believe it. You know, like deep down inside, she knows that it's bad.
She's blinded by her love.
Exactly. Who knows?
That could possibly be why she's such a snob. She's displacing this air of control and authority onto others, because especially around this one other person, they lose that, and they sort of maybe undermine themselves, but they feel that, well, I'm going to make up for it in this unconscious fashion by asserting myself over other people to make up for the loss of control that I have. When, you know, I wouldn't accept this treatment or this language or being snubbed even, or to have someone snob me from anyone else except whatever X person. I am going to argue right now, just at this point in time, we actually have a character. Now, we don't have the mechanics. I can't tell you her strength score or her con, but we have a character, if that makes sense.
I think we've got like 3 different characters. It's just a matter of
I guess we got to keep winnowing it down. Well, you know, we're gonna have to leave the background section, and we can continue to find these details and to make these decisions, as we're currently on a highway and we got to choose which exit we're gonna get off on here. So now we are going to hop from the background to her being a half-elf and find out what she gets by virtue of that, because these could end up being tiebreakers. These could help us make little fine-tuned decisions. All right, so our charisma score is going to go up by 2. So I'm going to float that 2 here, and then we get to choose 2 other scores to increase by 1. Now, automatically, as a barbarian, I would say strength and con, and I don't think anyone would argue. Though, you know, you can have a Dex barbarian. You can have Dex also plays into their unarmored defenses, and just having a high Dex is also good, because barbarians are often, if you don't have a rogue, you send the barbarian down the hallway to search for traps, and by that I mean to set them off and survive them. So
well, I think we gotta go with con, right? She's got this background of working, I guess not on the sea, but like around the sea. That's gotta be a tough life, right?
Well, and you know, I think without even just looking at the mechanics for mechanics' sake, she's proficient in carpenter's tools. She builds ships. She's used to swinging a hammer, hauling lumber around. And so I think you would have to have the strength to back that up, and the con helps when you get splinters and you get those boo-boos, because they hurt.
But Maddie, you gotta be really precise when you're building something, especially when you're having such make such fine art. You gotta have really an eye for that.
Oh.
You gotta maybe wisdom.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. We're just moving electrons around. Let's put a 1 in wisdom.
I like it.
All right, so we're going to drop our 1 in con and our 1 in wisdom. And we have our natural 2 in charisma. Our size, we already have that. Our speed, our base walking speed is 30, but not for long, for reasons that will be revealed. That gives us a 15. It's not a climb speed, but we climb at 15, swim at 15, and 0 fly. What's that?
Spoilers, Maddie.
Oh, I'm looking ahead. All right, everyone, don't look at your player's handbooks by like 4th level. We do get 60 feet of dark vision, which is nice, especially if you're working on plans late at night. You know, you're trying to make that deadline to get the ship out there. You can be out there pounding nails with you don't need a lot of lamplight. Now, Fey Ancestry. You have advantage on saving throws against being charmed, and magic can't put you to sleep. And I think this is going to play really well. This is going to play really well into the fact that the theme of this wild soul is located in the Feywild. And what you were talking about by sort of like giving in to that Sylvan or that Fey side as the burst of rage, I think this super backs it up.
It's that wild side.
Now, we also have skill versatility. We gain proficiency in 2 skills of our choice. Based on who she is and what she does, which skills do you think we should give to her? She already has insight and persuasion from being a guild artisan. Let's see, she's a snob who looks down on those who can't appreciate fine art. I'm full of witty aphorisms. That might be history. Everyone should be free. I pursue wealth to secure someone's love. Maybe a charisma, but we already have persuasion. I'm quick to assume that someone's trying to cheat me. That could be... Well, that's insight. I could also make the argument that if you have that as a flaw, you don't have proficiency in insight, but whatever.
This is tough because, like, I mean, I would think, like, maybe perception. I see this, like, maybe a character with a discerning eye. So even investigation might be reasonable.
For reviewing blueprints for ships?
Yeah, reviewing blueprints for ship. Like, really appreciating fine art and picking out details.
What about athletics, then?
I mean, that's a great one, too, for certain.
I think athletics could help with the jumping around, hauling wood and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not really seeing sleight of hand in there anywhere. So.
No, probably not. Languages. All right, so it was Common, Elvish, and an extra language, so we're floating 2 languages here. Nice versatility to communicate with other people in the party. All right, and so that's it. Look, half-elves get 2 pages in the player's handbook, but you get a lot of options on those 2 pages and some really cool art.
I was going to say, that little bird, top notch.
And what... All right, is this a magic item up here? What is this tube that has grass in it? Is this a magic item that I don't know about, or... I've been bugged by this.
Question. I would guess it's a quiver of Helona, but it could really be anything.
Oh.
Because you can put stuff in it. I mean, it's like a little bag of holding quiver, which I don't know why you'd fill it with dirt. I guess someone at some point has filled their bag of holding with dirt before, so.
Yeah, maybe you got to bring back fertile soil to your village or something.
Or that's a great one. You have a plant that you just have to keep safe.
Oh yeah.
So you carry it with you in a little potted plant, effectively quiver. Oh, what a whack bomb.
That reminds me, I have to think about I'm only halfway there. I'm going to have to think about a Bartholomew's Choice for Zuzip, by the way. I've been trying to noodle over some things to see what would be a good item for her. That is...
Are you already halfway to it?
I have about 2,500 Bartholomew bucks, yeah. I'm getting there.
Oh my goodness.
I'm getting there.
Maddie.
I'd be closer, but I dived into that bag a couple times.
The temptation of the bag.
It's so real. I held out.
Especially now.
Oh yeah, there's good stuff in there. All right, so now we can peek to the Barbarian. We're gonna be looking at 14 levels of Barbarian, and this is gonna give us a bonus proficiency of +5, and we're gonna get rages. Rage we get 5 times per day. Actually, I'm just gonna put that down here on this character sheet. I really like it because they float a little side panel for things like Bardic Inspirations, key points, and whatever. So I'm just going to put Rage, and we get 5 of those per day. And we're going to get +3 damage. Rage, +3 damage. Barbarians are a D12 hit die class, so we're going to have 14 D12, and that represents our natural pool of recovery without needing to expend spells or consume items that we can catch our breath or whatnot between fights. Proficiencies, light armor, medium armor, and shields. Light, medium, shields. Weapons, simple weapons, and martial weapons. And there is a reason why it doesn't say all weapons, because there is the line for all armor. And I would believe that that's because if you come across an exotic item or an exotic weapon, like the Thrycreans have a 3-bladed boomerang called a kachka, that might count as close to an exotic weapon, as exotic weapons don't really exist in 5th ed, but they kind of exist in 5th ed. But also all would also be makeshift, or no, not makeshift items. Improvised weapons. So they're specific in that regard. Crawdaddy says it's a looking glass. A map tube equipped with a piece of glass on the end makes for an amazing looking glass, and it would look just like that. Oh, I'm willing to entertain that as the explanation for that item.
It's just super zoomed in.
Yeah. So it's just. Woo. Next up, we have no tool proficiencies as a barbarian. Our there we go. Strength and Constitution are the proficient saving throws. Now we get to choose 2 more skills. She is very skillful. We can choose from animal handling, athletics, intimidation, nature, perception, and survival. Do any of those really resound to you about who she is as a shipwright, a product of this family, the origin, the Fey origin, the background, any of this?
Well, okay, let's start figuring out. Do we want to go with that direction of the kind of the elf that has forsaken the half elf that's kind of forsaken their elfy side, but sometimes falls back into these rages, and that's kind of their inner conflict throughout the campaign or throughout their development? Do we want to go with that?
I like that. I do like that on many levels, and especially because this can help us confront the notion that elves are not strong, or, because we consider elves, well, they're, they leap around. They're more of a dex thing, dex int kind of a thing. And so I kind of like that when she lets go, that's her giving into her elven self. Because elves, in other fictions and whatnot, can be very powerful. It's just that they don't really exercise it because there's not always the need to do so. And look outside to space elves, whether it's in 40K, or look at the Vulcans. I brought up Vulcans earlier. Vulcans in Star Trek have incredible strength. They just don't use it unless there is, something happening that requires them to hold a bulkhead open, or to go into the engine room on the Enterprise in the one movie and survive radiation that couldn't have been survived by a human.
I actually love what you just said, right? Because their elven self is actually this strong, wild thing, and yet they have all of these kind of these features about themselves, like their appreciation of fine art and exquisite craft, kind of like the very stereotypical elf, like what maybe humans might see elves as. I like the idea that she kind of plays up this almost stereotype that people expect, while pushing away her true elf self. That being said, if she's pushing it away,
okay,
she's got to have something in it, right? So maybe we could put like a nature in. She is proficient in it. She just doesn't like to show it.
Ah, okay, and in a practical sense, whether it's baked into her from her upbringing, or as a gift from the blood that flows through her. Nature, I think, could also back up her shipwright, because she can can tell the grades of wood, and is something going to be, appropriate to build a ship, or appropriate to, for function or for form. As you're grading, that's very important. If you don't have good wood, then your ship's not going anywhere. So nature is practical in a lot of ways.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And you know what? She actually might have chosen this to be that blend, that halfway point, because she knows she has this origin, these urges, and yet there is this human part of her that is more of an expression, and so she can find art while also having this natural outlet, for her emotion, for her love, or for being scorned, or for, you get a splinter because you're doing some woodworking. It's going to make you hit a nail really hard into the wood, but you're accomplishing your task all the same, because that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm loving nature. I absolutely do.
It's like a shield, right, to kind of mask that little bit of that elfiness kind of slipping out. What else? What were the options again, Maddie? Survival maybe be a good instinctual one, but
yeah, survival I think would be an instinctual one. So we have animal handling, but nothing really seems to talk about animals, unless again we want to establish that's kind of a resonance. She doesn't really hang around animals, but she can, or maybe animals are drawn to her, but she's like, no, I'm more of a people person, and there could always be animals around because they're drawn to her by this wild blood. This resonance. We can entertain that. Athletics we already have. Intimidation we do not have, but could be an option, and I think for obvious reasons.
She's not very snobby. That can be intimidating.
Oh yeah, you don't have to growl, just that look, that looking down on someone, that kind of side of the mouth, tick, TCH, tick. We have nature. We do not have perception. We don't have perception. So I can see perception, and survival is another one here.
Yeah, I don't know. I think either perception or I like that intimidation a lot, because that really fits into the kind of narrative we've built for this character.
Then so it shall be. Intimidation, persuasion, insight, nature, and investigation and athletics. A starting equipment. I mean, we could just give her whatever. Great axe or a martial melee weapon. If she wants to wield a maul, maybe we can give her a maul. It's a big old hammer. You probably get to use those a lot. But I can also see a great axe because you want to chop. But you know what? You're proficient with it all. So starting equipment, I don't think I'm really going to be too worried about putting that in, because I want to explore the subclass more than just, if she's carrying an axe or not. Plus, I already bled out my need to roll that golden D12, so I'm satisfied. So she has rages. At this level, she can rage 5 times per day. Gonna get a little bonus damage. Unarmored defense. So she's not wearing... If she's not wearing armor, she gets to add her dex and con to 10. Unarmored defense. And a shield does... you can stack a shield in that, too. Reckless attack. Oh. You give what you get. You get advantage on your attacks, but you also grant advantage on them. And then danger sense. Whoop. Danger sense. You gain an uncanny sense of when things nearby aren't as they should be. That's definitely handy in a construction site. Something's falling, you can leap to save yourself or to save someone else. Our primal path we're going to get to. And we're going to do the primal path last because it'll really focus on that document, and we're taking all the other mundane stuff out of the way. ASIs we're not going to worry about right now. We do get an extra attack at level 5. We get fast movement. There you go, everyone. There's our extra 10 feet, so we go to 40, 20, but we still can't fly. Boo. We are also getting a feral instinct. No. So honed, you have advantage on initiative rolls. And if you're surprised at combat, I'm not going to go over all this because, the player's handbook, it's up here. You can read. You can pause it, or if you have the player's handbook at home, which I'm presuming many of you do, this is all bread and butter stuff for a barbarian. Level 9, we're getting brutal critical.
Maddie, how brutal is its critical?
Well, because we are making a level 14 character, we are increasing to 2 additional dice at 13th level.
That is twice as brutal.
So we are getting 3x dice at this level. Next up, we have Relentless Rage, and so we can stay madder longer. And we're stopping just shy of Persistent Rage. Okay, so now everyone, I will put the link in chat once more in case there's folks that are just coming in and you want to follow along at home. This is going to load up. You can download this PDF for free. Now that we have the Guild Artisan, right? We have the Shipwright. We have the Half-Elf. We have the Barbarian. And through this journey, we've taken her down these paths, and I think we've gone from several options down to a good solid one that everything complements each other and supports the concept. Now we're going to make her a wild soul.
Gasp.
Le gasp. That is French for the gasp. We are getting lingering magic at level 3. At 3rd level, your body reacts to the presence of magic. You can cast the Detect Magic spell without using a spell slot or components. Constitution is your spellcasting ability for this spell. You faintly glow a color corresponding to the school of magic you detect. You choose the colors. By the way, I love this. I've in all my campaigns, I've always assigned schools of magic to a particular color.
We'd all do,
it
right?
makes
like
sense.
Everyone, we all do that. The problem I have with this, Maddie, is they didn't tell us what the colors were.
Oh, then this is an absolutely unplayable subclass. This is 2 out of 10
Terrible.
Garbo. I signed up to D&D to do what I was told. And if other people don't spell it out.
Well,
Blue
really?
necromancy? Get out. Table flip.
Well, the interesting thing about this is you choose. Not your DM chooses, you choose. So if you say, yeah, the necromancy's pink.
Oh, empowering players? Oh, man.
DM's got to roll with it, that pink necromancy.
But I'm the DM. I make the choices.
All right, Maddie, what's next?
You can use this feature a number of times. Equal to your Constitution modifier, minimum of 1. You regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. So lingering magic, we don't know our con yet, so I'm just going to put X/LR. So yeah, we get to glow a color if we are in the presence of magic, which is, it's really cool. This also does leave things, it says faintly glow, and of course we are going to have friendships end over do you faintly glow as per the light radius of a candle or a lantern or and of course if you're faintly glowing and someone with dark vision is looking at you but it's in the dark, is that enough light to show color, or is the grayscale dark vision gonna see that you have a light aura but not be able to detect the color? See, all the minutia and the argumenting needs to be baked into this so that we
I didn't even think about that, but yes, that is stuff that probably should be in there.
Because if it's a faint glow, I mean, that could just be, my skin pretty much just changes colors, and because a glow could be, am I producing light? Or is it just maybe my skin changes colors so that if light reflects off of me, I'm like a cuttlefish or an octopus or a chameleon. I'm not emitting light, but I'm changing the color of the light that's reflected off of me. And if that's the case, how does that work in certain low light or no light situations, et cetera, and so forth. But you know what?
Well, Maddie, what if we want to game this? What if I say, right, that my skin changes color to green and it's light green, and then for like, I don't know, evocation magic, and you just keep a small little thing of evocation magic on you, and then we're in a forest, I detect magic, I'm gonna hide. With my, now I'm green.
Yeah,
Ooh.
some active camo. Or or someone could play a prank on you with thaumaturgy or prestidigitation, and you kind of point out like, hey, Barbara, you're kind of glowing purple here, and what? Hi Grimvex, and hello Cake Boss, and hello Phydragen. All right, now also at 3rd level, and I like that you bring that up. And hey, if you in the audience, or you know, between Jeremy and I, if we come up with little nitpicks or fun little, I don't want to call them exploits because this subclass technically doesn't even exist, but things to think about. And also, what if you detect several schools of magic at once? Do you turn like brown as a mix of colors, like or depending if you're emitting light, the light together is more of a white color, or if it's like paint and you mix like red and green make brown. Do you get this, or does it swirl? Do you look like does your skin look like a soap bubble? You know, with everything swirling and shifting colors. But anyway, have fun imagining that at home. Starting at 3rd level, magic erupts from you as you rage. When you enter your rage, roll on the Wild Surge table to determine the magical effects produced. If the Wild Surge requires a saving throw, the DC equals 8 plus proficiency plus con mod. And here is our chart. There are 8 different Wild Surges, and you know, so why not 6? Why not 10? Why not 12? Well, let's review the 8, and maybe we can noodle over some ideas here. So as we fly into a rage, we can have necrotic energy bursting from us. Each creature in 30 feet of you takes 1d10 necrotic damage, and you gain temporary hit points equal to the sum of the necrotic damage dealt. You can teleport up to 20 feet to an unoccupied space you can see. Until your rage ends, you can activate this effect again on each of your turns as a bonus action. This is definitely... Can you imagine having an Eladrin, a barbarian like this? All the teleportations. At least, maybe I'm thinking of the 4th ed Eladrin.
Pew, 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 pew.
Yeah, just hopping around here. You don't even need shadows. With a result of a 3, you conjure 1d4 intangible spirits that look like flumps.
Me!
Oh, you conjure 1d4 Jeremys in an unoccupied space within 30 feet of you. Is this like Lazy Sloth you though, or is this?
They look like flumps.
Oh, all right. Each spirit immediately flies 30 feet in a random direction. So that would be, if you roll a d10, there's 9 directions on a grid. However, I mean, 3 D&D exists, and if you roll that 10, what if it flies up? Or if you want to do up and diagonals. So this is either something that needs a clarification, or, I mean, you all have to decide, is this lateral movement, or are these flumps just going to explode out, these spiritual flumps, your inner flump? Are they going to just possibly explode up and out? Because there's a lot more up directions than there are lateral directions. And of course, is down an option too? What happens if you send flumps down into the ground? Each spirit immediately flies 30 feet in a random direction. At the end of your turn, all spirits explode, and each creature within... Oh, those poor flumps. Each creature within 5 feet of one or more of them must succeed on a dex saving throw or take 2d8 force damage.
This is abusive.
It is. It's flump abuse, unless they look like beautiful fireworks, which also, I guess you might be able to simulate beautiful fireworks by sending out spiritual flumps to explode in the sky if they do flee from you in a diagonal direction.
Or back into the crowd, hopefully not.
Yes.
I'll be right back real quick, man.
Yeah, no problem. I'm going to keep narrating what's on the list, and you've already read over this. Number 4, Arcane Energy enshrouds you. Until your rage ends, you gain a +2 bonus to armor class, and whenever a creature within 10 feet of you takes a hit, or, not takes a hit, whenever a creature within 10 feet of you hits you with an attack, that creature takes force damage equal to your con mod. Number 5, plant life temporarily grows around you. Until your rage ends, the ground within 10 feet of you is difficult terrain. And this was brought up. This was brought up actually on the D&D Time discussion, where does this travel with you? Do plants or rocks or something, what are you considering difficult terrain? Is it dependent? Is it dependent on the biome that you're in? If you're in a desert, does your rage make the sand ripple around you? And does it stick with you? And so you are always, causing anywhere you go to be 10 feet around you. And it does say around you. And so that could be your square or the whatever, if you play with hexes or something. Do you count as being in it, or is it just around you? Is it terrain dependent as well? And something else. Oh, it says plant life, so I guess so I guess in that case that brings up if you are in a desert. Is this? It doesn't say if you need to have natural. It doesn't say you need natural plants, although some spells require that. Or because this is sourced in the Feywild, is this are these Fey plants that are growing? And do they have to be even biome specific? And to that end, because this can come into play with certain feats or features, is this magical difficult terrain, or is this but the plants are caused by magic, but are the plants natural? So it's natural difficult terrain caused by magic, or is this magical difficult terrain for purposes of people who can move through one, both, either, neither?
Totally magic.
And
I'm back, by the way.
Oh, welcome back. If not, then who are you and what have you done with Jeremy? Number 6, arcane energy taps into the minds of those around you. Each creature within 30 feet of you must succeed on a wisdom saving throw you see, or a saving throw, or you see a glimpse of the creature's thoughts, learning how it plans to attack you. As a result, the creature has disadvantage on attack rolls against you until the start of your turn. And this would be the case if you're reckless attacking, that gives you advantage. However, it gives you advantage. So someone has disadvantage, that would cancel out, so you could reckless attack and they'd only roll 1d20, unless your DM rolls otherwise. But usually it's, they cancel out in that manner. Number 7, shadows. Weave around a weapon of your choice that you're holding. Until your rage ends, your weapon deals psychic damage instead of its bludgeoning, slashing, or piercing damage, and it gains the light and thrown properties with a normal range of 20 feet and a long range of 60 feet. If you drop the weapon or throw it, the weapon dissipates and reappears in your hand at the end of your turn. And lastly, numero 80, a beam of brilliant light lances from your chest in a 5-foot wide, 60-foot long line. Each creature in the line must succeed on a Constitution saving throw or take 2d8 radiant damage and be blinded until the start of your next turn.
Don't you just hate when that happens, Maddie?
When random beams of light burst from my chest?
You get a little annoyed at something, and suddenly beams of light burst from your chest.
Yeah, you can't control that beaming smile of yours. So something then that I want to throw back over to you, because you discussed this on your channel, and I will bridge into it with this. If we had our detect magic up, and we popped our rage, what would we turn colors? Would we turn colors with this, with the Wild Surge? I think it's undoubtedly magical, but let's say, I guess, a default would be black is necrotic. I think that's something that many of us might just default to.
Well, Maddie, I will say, that they've already got you on that.
Oh.
Detect magic's a concentration spell, and you can't concentrate.
Oh.
But if there were a second one of you, then you would see color.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, hey, we're gonna make 2 barbs, and they're gonna have to play off each other. So, let's say, actually, let's do this. This is a D8. I'm gonna roll 1 D8. We rolled a 1.
Ooh.
Now, I guess this one might be easy here. So we go into a rage and necrotic energy burst from you. What color would we be, and what would that associate then? Because detect magic tells you the school of magic into which that spell falls.
Well, I mean, just looking at it, right? You're doing necrotic energy, is what you're creating. Probably necromancy. Of course, it steals life from other people and gives it to you, so it's definitely necromancy.
So this opens up an interesting point then, because we have 8 different abilities, and if we're not counting, the school, the war wizards, if I'm not mistaken,
schools of magic.
I love that, the classical schools of magic, not that new stuff that's come around. Cormier doesn't know what they're talking about with the war wizards.
Oh, Maddie.
Do I sound like a good Waterdavian?
Oh.
Oh, you're from Cormier.
Incredible.
How quaint. So, I guess, are we onto something here? Can we break down the others?
Are. So, yeah, I mean, obviously that first one's necromancy, because of the reason we just said. The second one is teleportation. All teleportation magic falls under the school of conjuration.
Hey,
so there's our conjuration magic.
Okay.
The third one, I have no idea. We'll come back to that.
I'll highlight this and we'll come back to it. So what about number 4?
Number 4, arcane energy enshrouds you, giving you a shield and rebuking things that hit you. That's abjuration magic, if I've ever heard it.
Absolutely abjuration.
Plant life grows. You're not creating anything new, but you're changing an existing thing. What do we call that? That's transmutation magic.
Okay.
Arcane energy taps into the minds of creatures. We got divination magic with that one. Number 7, shadows weave around something. That's our illusion magic right there.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, number 8, you go Super Saiyan, there's your evocation magic.
Yes.
So, what's left, Maddie? What did we miss? What are these flumps?
What are the flumps? Let's see. So if we go back, and we're going to take a quick look, a wizard is going to be our key here. So we have abjuration, we have conjuration, we have divination?
We have divination, that's tapping into the mind.
But, well, I don't think we talked about enchantment at all. Because there's evocation, and there's illusion, and necromancy, and transmutation, but we didn't talk about enchantment.
So these flumps are enchantment magic? Or is this just a half-finished theme? Oh, I'm sorry, a 7 out of 8 completed theme. Why is it flumps?
7 out of 8 would rage again. Well, I guess flumps are enchanting creatures.
That is fair, but you know what else? Maddie, I think you really struck a chord here. This is clearly the war magic.
Ah! We did! That's it! That is Cormyrian war magic! Of course they'd, launch flumps at you.
Genius. Oh, boy.
So yeah, what color would your companion barbarian glow in this case, as the barbarian next to you explodes in flumps? I mean, I love the idea. I'm absolutely imagining someone getting so upset that they rupture magical flumps out of themselves. I definitely am not. I'm not picking up enchantment per se out of this. And of course, you got to clarify, are they flying in all directions, laterally or in 3 dimensions? So number 3 here probably needs a little bit of polish.
Yeah, well, the biggest thing about it is, and I'm not going to get too much into the mechanics, nitty-gritty that I love to get into. There's just so many steps. You got to roll the surge, then you got to roll d4s, then you got to figure out random directions, and then they got to roll saving throws for everything near them.
I am going to be far too busy texting on my phone during the game to have to, that when I'm called to do all those rolls, I'm going to have to ask you to narrate everything that's already happened before I can continue to delay the game further. Did you flump your pants again? Or you just pull a Shrek? Yeah, sorry, I flumped. Now, Raging Breaks enchantments. Cold Spark, that's an interesting thing to bring up, as a Berserker Barbarian does have the ability to not be enchanted while raging. And so maybe Barbarians just are not enchanting folk at all. And so then maybe they did slot in war magic, I guess. But this is an awesome point, and when you and Pete were talking about it on your channel last night, that made a lot of sense, and I really super enjoyed thinking about that, and so it's it's
an interesting intellectual dive into it. That's how I'm gonna put it.
Yes. We will be 300 IQ intellects about this and realize that this is in fact a playtest, and we're allowed to have fun and laugh. But don't write hate letters to Wizards of the Coast or anything.
I will say, Maddie, of all of these, that's the one that she hates the most. She hates when the flumps just appear.
You get super.
She's all about that image, and most of these she can kind of play. The necromancy is bad. Obviously, we don't want that. The teleportation is fine. She can just ignore it. The flumps. How do you explain a bunch of flumps just sprouted out? You can't.
Yeah, I mean, people are just going to accuse you of smuggling flumps around. Then I guess that's sounds like a euphemism in and of itself.
Smuggling flumps.
All the more reason. This is all the more reason too. You got to be careful. Wild magic, like you get that fireball on that D100 chart. That affects everyone. Necrotic energy bursts from you. Each creature in 30 feet of you. If you're working on a dock around a bunch of laborers and you hit your thumb with a hammer and you go, ah, and suddenly a lot of your laborers are gonna keel over or just be sickened. And, it'll help take care of the rat problem, I guess, but, yeah, so that, you have to be careful about that. All right, Magic Reserves.
I was thinking Cormyrean Warflumps. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, they wear these, purple, either they're purple in color, or they just wear these, purple capes around. It's beautiful.
It's incredible.
At 6th level, I'm just imagining the art right now. Hey, win that silver prize goblin and commission get a $40 commission for a Cormyrean Warflump. Hey, it's still in there, everyone. There's a $40 art commission in that box. Hashtag not sponsored, but I guess, sponsored by myself. All right, at 6th level, you can channel the magic surging inside you to other creatures. As an action, you can touch a creature and roll a d4. The creature recovers an expended spell slot of a level equal to the number rolled. If the creature you touch can't recover a spell slot of that level, the creature instead gains so you might as well just say Warlock. The Warlock gains temporary hit points equal to 5 times the number rolled. You take force damage equal to 5 times the number rolled. And something I'm noticing offhand, and I can't tell you offhand, I'm not thinking about math or balance. There's nothing in here that says this damage cannot be mitigated or otherwise reduced or ignored. Mm-hmm. And there are other things, I think, unless 4th edition is muddling me, there are other instances where specifically for certain effects you cannot mitigate damage.
Yep.
And so
almost every other effect has that.
And so this would mean that without that being included, you could, in some way, to not pay the cost of being able to restore someone's spell slots.
You mean like the Brooch of Shield? Oh wait, yeah, Brooch of Shielding, right? Resistance to force damage, I think.
Oh yeah, it just negates magic missile, but I think it actually gives you yeah. And so in this case, you know, you're probably going to go item
really
fishing for a brooch. That way you can just, you know, because this is just as an action. So you can just back up, like you go around and you give people good games. Like you just go down the line, good game, recover, good game, recover, good game, recover. And as you're doing that, you're just like, oh, whatever, free spell slots for everyone. Whatever, I'm a melee person, but we got to shoot across a canyon. You just keep recovering spell slots, and I'll take little to no damage.
Yeah, even beyond that, right? Forget about the spell slots. I mean, any martial character can just boom, bunch of temporary hit points.
Or a warlock. I'm sorry, yeah. Yeah, so you're handing out the good games to everyone. You're going down the line in the locker room, just like right down.
You get 10 points, and you get 10. Everybody. Oh, I guess you get a spell slot.
Yeah, not everyone's
have
perfect.
Level 1 spell slot.
Not everyone's a martial class. Ooh.
How it is.
At 10th level, we get Arcane. Oh, by the way, because we're 14th level as we're genning, that goes up to a D6. So as it was pointed out, you could recover a 6th. We're not necessarily in epic magic at that point, but, you know, it's still pretty powerful. And for a warlock, I think they threw that in there so you could possibly get well, no, a Mystic Arcanum isn't a spell slot.
That's true. They
That's
can't get
true.
The
Ooh.
But they could get their regular spell.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Nice.
Arcane Rebuke. At 10th level, the magic crackling within your soul lashes out. When a creature forces you to make a saving throw while you're raging, and that's any saving throw, you can use your reaction to deal 3d6 force damage to that creature. Makes sense.
I really like this feature, personally. It just feels so right? You're brimming with magic. Someone tries to put their magic on you and it just explodes at them.
Now,
I love it.
It might make it more convoluted, and by that it probably will. Why force damage and not leave it to a random damage type? You know, not, you know, why wouldn't it manifest as poison or fire as your soul is lashing out in this, you know, if we're talking chaos magic. So, I mean, if you out there want to rule it as something other than force, it's playtest material. Have fun with it. But, you know, I get force. I do. Though I think thematically it could be fun if it was something, if it was something else. And plus, hey, having unlimited hellish rebukes that aren't resisted or ignored completely by half the monster manual is pretty good.
It's really good. But I also really like it.
Because there's actually so like fire is absolutely the most resisted or immune element, or no, poison I think, and then a very close second is fire. Force damage, there is one monster that
just one.
Yeah, there's one monster that is immune to force damage. And of course, as a dungeon master, I mean, if you want to give someone force resistance or something, whatever, it's your game, you know. Or you know, or put that same amulet. Apparently, if we're rolling these barbs, everyone gets these brooches.
Everybody.
Everybody.
Brooch shielding everywhere. and then your magic missile wizard is sad.
Yeah.
Oh.
At 14th level, so this is our capstone as this subclass. At 14th level, you become a wellspring of wild magic while you're raging. As a bonus action, you can re-roll on the wild surge table, replacing your current effect with the new one. So you can just explode every round if you want to give up your bonus action.
Which, I mean, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
You just got to make sure no party members are anywhere within 30 feet of you.
No,
So, you know, so whatever, Barbara the Barbarian, you fight the goblins over there. We're going to be over here. And also, don't die because Healing Word is kind of at that range.
It's kind of an interesting feature, too, because it's like, I feel like there aren't a lot of different options there for changing them every turn. Because it's just the 8, you know?
Now, humor me. What if, even if this is only for the level 14 Chaotic Fury, what if instead of the D8 choices, you actually allowed the player to roll a percentile for the actual wild magic chart?
I think that'd be great. I think that would be so great. I think that'd be totally fun.
Now, that being said, so that's at 14th level, would you allow that to occur starting at 3rd level and replace Wild Surge with...
I don't think so. I like Wild Surge a lot.
Okay. Well, I mean,
really
I'm sorry, I not replace Wild Surge, but rather the effects that you could get from a Wild Surge. So replace the D8 with the percentile, or work these 8 options into the percentile spread.
No, I don't know. I like these. I really like that, like, all of them are combat effective. That's the thing with the Wild Magic Surge table for the Sorcerer, right? Some of them are really goofy and whimsical. These, for the most part, right, they feel really good and inspired, but they aren't, but they're all, like, good. They're all really cool abilities. They're all very powerful abilities. So I really like these as, like, the rage mechanic, but I'm with you about that level 14. I would love to have that just be, go to the Wild Magic Surge table in the Sorcerer class and have fun. I would love it.
So Chaotic Fury, as it's presented here, isn't necessarily bad, but depending on the Dungeon Master, if you're playing with TrustAFlumph or Matty Morgs, we would probably allow a 14th level Barbarian to roll that percentile instead.
I love what Rytel's saying there. Okay, the chances are 1 in 100. I get flumps again.
The smuggling flumps. Oh goodness.
Well, I think there are also flumps on the Wild Magic Surge chip, so really we're just doubling our chances to get flumps.
Oh, you know what? I think you are absolutely correct. Let's take a quick sneak peek at that.
Just flumping around.
Yeah,
doing that flump stuff.
Yeah, hashtag just flump stuff.
Yeah. I feel like we can make, like, a really chill, just flumping around, doing that flump stuff. We can make some really nice flump stuff music. It's gonna be great.
Oh yeah, have Pete do another music creation episode. Those are fun.
Another beats? Oh, that'd be great.
All right, so now everyone, we have the character. You know, we have the chassis of the character. We understand her motivations. We've created a backstory for her. I think at this point, we can be comfortable in making decisions for her as if we were piloting her. However, every car needs an engine, and it's time to drop the engine into the chassis to complete the character. And so,
I'm absolutely with you, Maddie. Let's figure out those languages.
Yeah, that's right. This is key. Though it'd probably end up being like Sylvan and I don't know, something else maybe if she's like super tapping into stuff. We're gonna use the standard array, so 15, 14, 13, 12, 10, 8. And if we're keeping the suggestion you had of Constitution with the 1 and Wisdom with the 1 and Charisma. So as our Barbarian, we're tickling a bump in Constitution, nothing in Strength unless we want to dump this raw 15 into it. How would you propose we put the scores?
Oh, goodness. Oh boy. So we're looking at 15, 14, 13, 12, 10, 8. Let's say, like, I think she's snobby, and I think she, like, is okay at being snobby. I would put the 12 in that charisma.
Okay.
That way she's got a pretty good charisma.
All right.
And then I'd probably say we gave her maybe the 16 in her con. I really like.
Ooh,
I really like. I'm sorry, the 15 in the con rather. I like maxing out con on Barbarian. It's a lot of fun. That's just fun for me. Where would I put the other ones? I mean, 14's gonna go in Strength or Dex. Probably Strength.
Okay.
That's my thought. And then probably 13 Wisdom, 10 Intelligence, and she's, I guess, not very dexterous. Maybe she's 10 dexterous and 8 intelligence.
Okay.
It hurts. I don't know what to do, Maddie. Help.
No. So this is a point that I like explaining. it's absolutely okay if you are proficient in skills that are otherwise your dump stat. Because instead of having a broad intelligence where you know a little about a lot, you are just focused on maybe one or two things that you know better than others. And so with this, yeah, she'll, unless we boost it up, which I don't think we would with her ASIs. So yeah, she has a -1 modifier on her intelligence, but she's going to be rolling with a +4 investigation and a +4 nature. And so everything else is -1, so that +4 is absolutely useful. And I'll tell you, if you're the only one in the party, especially if you're the only one in the party, not only do you have proficiency, because some DMs ask for that, are you proficient in something? In which case I'll open up the check. Or just rolling at a +4 is better than rolling at a -1. And it's also showing that she is just dedicated. She's not been universally educated. Maybe that's a part of her upbringing. I mean, she could be the daughter of a noble, but sort of was too busy playing, or depending on the society, girls were often just sent, well, you go ride horses and study, colors and stuff like that, and leave warfare and religion and everything to the menfolk. So this could have been specialty training from her culture. This could just be what she's interested in, or there's a lot more that the skills can tell about the character than just being a simple, no one else in the party has investigation, so I guess I'll take it, and go from there. So I don't think there's anything wrong at all with her having an 8 intelligence, but being super specialized in investigation and nature.
I think that works.
So if we do this...
definitely not clumsy. I couldn't put the 8 in that.
No, but for sure, I mean, she's not going to have the best AC, but so what? If you're a barbarian and you're not reckless attacking, what are you doing? Why are you even playing D&D? Get out of here. We're not going to play with you because you're literally the worst.
I think she's one of those barbarians that would wear armor.
Oh, those mythical barbarians that wear armor. That is true.
Perhaps. They're spoken of in legend.
Although, I think secretly, mechanically, min-maxing, optimization, I think armor-wearing barbarians are technically better than unarmored. Shh, don't tell anyone.
Maddie, while we've been doing this, I've been trying to figure out what the colors of magic are.
All right.
And unfortunately, so the only options I have right now are blue, yellow, red, primary colors.
Yep.
Black and white.
Okay.
Sparkles.
Oh, we're going World of Darkness Auspex.
We're going whack here, because all of these can go together, right? At that point. So if you have overlapping things, they can go together. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm picking up what you're putting down.
All right. Now, what are the other two? If sparkle is a color,
ultraviolet and infrared. You glow with UV light.
Geez.
Or when you glow, you warm, a meal next to you.
Warm is
It could be interesting if you glow with UV, or and of course you can have fun with that too. If let's say this, if you're glowing with the colors and we had the interaction with the dark vision, what if dark vision interacted with ultraviolet or infrared? It used to be called infravision way back in the day, by the way. Could that give a boosty in some way? So maybe illusion and divination, because those are used to creating images or whatever. Would you say, sure, whatever, it's 2 out of 8, it's a 1 in 4 chance that if you're in a dark area with dark vision, maybe you can actually help see not the true colors of things, but the color of things, because you're ultraviolet glowing. I don't know, it's a fun thought, but if you're going off of stepping outside of the normal, if you don't want to do Roy G. Biv in black and white, or of course there's also brown. I mean, we often don't think of things that glow brown, but can you how would you conceptualize that? Well, brown is probably then, what glows brown? Something that's illusion. Brown might be an illusion.
Totally.
But if you look at, I made a reference to how Auspex works in older editions in Old World of Darkness. If you're a vampire, you could actually use Auspex to see traits. Like someone is a vampire or a mage, or if there's things around, and they use things like sparkles. If someone was a changeling, If a vampire had diablerized another vampire, then when you used Auspex on them, they'd have black veins. And so, it doesn't have to be black veins per se, but if you're looking for effects, something that highlights, the muscles or the skeleton or the nerves or the circulatory system, something like that. There's you could even say the reverse coloration. You see the negative of something. Of course, photographs don't exist unless you're in D&D time with the camera. But this. What if someone appears, or whatever? Just find 8 of your favorite Snapchat filters, and so you see things in sepia, like your if something glows with evocation magic, they have dog ears and a dog nose.
We can really take this in some crazy direction.
We very much can. Maybe you get a barber's pole effect. I think you could do a lot of fun stuff in that regard.
Ooh. Absolutely. I'm sorry, I totally derailed us, Maddie.
No, that's fine. I mean, what if she's a cat lover and you glow, tabby, or you glow gray, you glow black, and everything just is in shades of cat to you,
I mean, maybe you're detecting evocation and train rotation magic, and so you're plaid.
Oh, yeah. They've gone to plaid, sir.
Oh, boy.
So have fun with this, everyone. You have absolute license to think creatively and amazingly. And if you do come up with your own charts, share them on the D&D Time Discord and share them on the Matty Morgs Discord, please. I would love to, and I'm going to imagine Jeremy would love to see your all's interpretations of the schools of magic. I'm sorry, the traditional schools of magic that exist. All right, now, Jeremy, we need to dump 6 points of points into this character. Where are we going to put these?
Let's get them all into intelligence. No,
we got to make up for that 8 somehow.
I don't know. I mean, this is a pretty easy one to me, right? We bump that con way up.
Mm-hmm.
And then probably put 2 more in strength.
Okay, so we're going to go to 16 strength. Got 4 more points.
Yeah, I mean, I think we go up to 20 in the Constitution. That's what I would do.
Maximum con? Hey, that will make actually, because our saves of wild magic are based off of con, that is going to make us very hard to resist.
And even beyond that, it means that you can glow colors more often.
That's true.
Which is definitely not my ulterior motive.
And we will also we'll get to give everyone good games more often because we can survive even without the Brooch of Shielding. We'll get to take more of that force damage. I'm digging it.
I just love taking more damage.
So this is going to give us a 3 strength, 0 dex, 5 con, -1 intelligence, 2 wisdom, and 2 charisma. Ooh, that's going to give us an 8 strength saving throw and an 8 athletics. We're going to just drop this 0 down the way on dexterity. 10 constitution saving throw. Poison us, will you? Now, for intelligence, I'm just going to discreetly copy and paste this -1 into almost everything. However, 4 investigation and a 4 nature. Saving throw, wisdom, and the other skills that are not insight get 2s. However, insight, we're pretty good at reading people's emotions. Maybe we have, some problems with our own, but we can read other people pretty well. We hope. Little rolls happen.
More or less. There are people who've read worse.
And 7s. 7 intimidation and 7 persuasion. Let's see. Our passive perception is 10 plus our perception modifier, which is 12. That's just our natural awareness. Passives are amazing. And when those came about in 4th edition, although, it was kind of taking 10, taking 20 in 3rd. It might have even gone bad further, but as a passive, I loved it. And you can apply passives to other things as well. A feat mentions passive investigation. That way you're just naturally, you can just naturally figure out things. And I saw it was brought up here. You can have passive knowledges. You know, why roll skills if it's, you know, if you're setting the DC for, I don't know, knowing the history of a country at 13, but someone's walking around with a passive history of 15, wouldn't they just get the knowledge then? Yeah, it's up to you as the DM, but you can make a lot of things passive if you so choose. Age of Tesla, so is this a half-elf loose cannon cop? Not a police officer, a shipwright. But she does, when she favors her human heritage. However, when she loses it, this raw Feywild energy that is a part of her blood, surges forth, and things get wacky.
Super crazy.
I mean, maybe we'll end up with a policeman type character with our second barbarian, in which case we have excellent buddy comedy humor.
That's true.
Hit points, we get 12 at level 1 because that is our hit die. Then for our remaining 13 levels of our 14, we get half plus 1. That's the good and the bad. For about everyone except barbarians, you get that average is really good. For barbarians, you're like, yeah, I got a D12. And you get 7. It's not bad. I mean, you're still getting more than the wizard and everyone else. Though when you see the disparity, the difference between 7 and 12 is a lot bigger than 4 and 6 as a wizard. But then you realize, well, I'm getting about twice as many hit points as the wizard. So can you really be jealous?
Well, at that point, it's like, let's just go for it, right?
Yes, everyone out there, make sure you decide: are you going average or you're rolling? Now, for this exercise, we're taking the average, but hey. You might have a DM that allows a reroll. Maybe. Now, for all of our levels, we get bonus hit points equal to our constitution. Oh my god. Can you imagine if she took the toughness feat? Oh, wait. Is it toughness or is it... what gives you, like, double, triple hit points? Right. It is toughness? Whew.
Toughness is so good.
I would sacrifice an ASI and have her have 18 constitution and give her toughness. Absolutely. For hit points for days, especially because our armor is going to be anyway, and we're going to be reckless attacking. So who cares? Let's just be let's be an absolute damage sponge.
You know, you're saying that, Matt, but you know what you're not considering? Glowing colors more often.
So sell us on the idea. Sell me.
Colors. That's all I got.
Everyone, this is the hand gesture. Colors.
I did it.
You did it too? Yes, my mind to your mind. My thoughts to your thoughts. If we're talking Vulcans, let's bring it back around. Although, honestly, we probably made a Romulan here instead.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what's wrong with the Romulans, really?
I think it's cool they use black holes for transportation. I mean, who needs dilithium and matter-antimatter mixers when you have contained a black hole in your engine, and you're effectively an interstellar jet ski with an impeller? So, by the way, if any of you have name suggestions for this character, we can open it up. But even if we made a Romulan, perhaps we can... We won't call her Telshiar of the Star Romulan Empire. All right, so we have a... we're adding... Oh, look at that. An extra 70 points. So we have 161 plus 12. 173 hit points at level 14.
That's so many hit points, Maddie. Maddie, that's got to be a whole 169 more hit points than I have.
Yeah, right. Oh yeah, and don't forget her cloaking device. Well, hey, her cloaking device could be if in a pinch she detects a type of magic to blend in with the foliage. Well, she needs to turn green or sparkly.
Camouflage.
Yeah, or of course the sparkly would be more like a transporter effect. But you know, hey, if you can find a creative use to camouflage yourself in sparkles, I'd allow it. I like the rule of cool. Now, armor class. If we're talking armor class, if we're going just off of unarmored defense, it's not bad. It's still a respectable 15. That con is putting in work. 17 if we use a shield. If we wanted to go half plate, even. She's not sneaking around. We don't need to worry about stuff like that. I mean, we could get her armor. We can give her boosties, for sure.
She can get pretty high up there.
But armor class, I'm just going to put an X because it's variable. And so is the shield. Because who knows what her final, loadout for her weapons and armor is going to be. I mean, if we're attacking off of
magic
strength
stuff too. She's level 14.
Yeah, she's probably gonna have something along those lines. Something. Oh, you know what? On this sheet, we can fill in our spell save, quote unquote. So to resist her wild magic effects, she's gonna need an 18, or the enemy or friendly people are gonna need an 18 to resist the effects of her her magic. We have no spell slots. So really, you know what? We have, besides the details of equipment and a name, we have a character. I think we have a really cool character.
I really dig it. I really love this subclass. I'm very, very excited that it's coming to the game. Eventually.
Age of Tesla says colors. You're qualified to write the ending of Mass Effect 3. Oof. I have.
Thanks. Ooh.
Welcome back to the Discord, then, Cake Boss. With all the good games she'll be saying, I suggest So as her name. Cloaking device has a 1 con bonus for every GSL trophy. SOO has. I don't get what the reference of SOO is. Refry says, yeah, I agree. This is a cool subclass. Really like how we get to roll a surge on the use of a rage. And yeah, because you're looking for, you're fishing for those opportunities to make colors, to put on a little light show.
I think it will really just emphasize and showcase that explosion of emotion, right? Because you're literally exploding with power.
Yeah, you're Colossus from the old arcade X-Men game. Seems like they'll hit way more often than the wild surge magic. Well, as Jeremy pointed out, this is definitely more of a battle directed. So if you decide to open it up to general wild magic, which could be silly, utilitarian, recover hit points even, but the initial is you're a barbarian, and mechanically, I know we got to strip away all the cool fun stuff we talked about. However, there are certain, benchmarks or thematic elements that should still be present. If you wanted to abide by them to keep the barbarian up with other similar barbarians or styles.
Well, and actually, Referee was saying it seems like they'll hit more often than the wild magic surge. Well, how often the wild magic surge happens? That just depends on how generous your dungeon master is with giving back your Tides of Chaos. I know I give back Tides of Chaos when I'm DMing. I give back every single time I can. Every time they cast a spell of first level or higher, you get a wild magic surge happens to get your thing back. I love that.
Now, this could also be an interaction, unless I'm missing some errata, of rules as written versus rules as intended. Now, this says, in battle, you fight with primal ferocity. Could you technically just rage randomly? Does it have to be a battle, like a battle as per we're in initiative? Because it doesn't say if you're in initiative, do something. So what?
Well, but it does say on your turn.
Well, yeah. So on your turn, right? Even in narrative though, something could be happening, right? Turns do float, and I hope I'm not stirring a hornet's nest with saying raw versus rye. If I'm presenting a narration of something to happen, we're having a diplomatic talk, and the foreign diplomat really makes you upset, and you pound the table. Ugh! We haven't rolled into an initiative, but you do have a turn at some point in the narrative. Could you just burst into a rage and use your rages out of combat?
That's a really interesting question, Maddie, and that's something that's because here's the thing, right? A lot of these wild what are they called? Wild surge effects. They're gonna start combat there's combat once you've used it.
That or you've killed everyone on the dock and there's no one to fight anymore.
It's something I've been doing in some of my games lately. And this is a whole nother topic here, but I've been doing a kind of system of verbal initiative. If someone starts the fight, I just have them go first in the initiative order, and everyone else.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, what this would be, right? Like, in that moment where there's no initiative, people aren't fighting, it's a diplomatic situation, and the barbarian just rages, flips out, and necrotic energy goes everywhere. All right. Take the rest of their turn initiative, as we now roll initiative for everyone who's still alive.
Exactly. So here, as a warning for all of you out there, if you want to play around with this, I mean, really any barbarian, because all barbarians get rage, but specifically, if you want to have fun on the Wild Surge, or as Jeremy was talking about, you want to turn colors by being able to use this lingering magic, is, I guess arguably like rage, you don't really need to. I mean, detect magic is just you do it.
True.
In fact, it doesn't even say, well, it says you cast the spell without using a spell slot or components. So I guess you'd have to cast it per. One more question then, before we get up, because I'm gonna need to get up and take a little refreshment break. If you are in in an area of anti-magic, whether that's you're facing down a beholder or something along those lines, would you say that the Wild Surge is suppressed, and or could you not use detect magic despite that being an intrinsic part of your character? It does say cast spell, so that could very much be the make or break point. But how would this interact in an anti-magic zone, or even, dare I say, in a wild magic zone?
Well, God, no, I don't know how to handle a wild magic zone. Crazy stuff happens. But in terms of an anti-magic zone, I don't think you'd be able to use the detect magic, because it does say cast a spell. And I think the Wild Surge, I don't even know. I don't, my brain intrinsically thinks no, but I'm not positive.
Because, you're
really,
not...
look it up.
Because it does say magic erupts from you in the fluff.
It uses the words magic.
But you're not casting the magic. I don't know if anti-magic is just a universal or
guess
where you put the line in the sand. And also, because it's not magic that is being cast, it's a part of you as the character. It's like saying, well, Dragonborn have dragon breath, and that's a fantastic thing. Like, that's how do you breathe lightning? How is that not magical? Now, it's not listed as magical, so
True.
Theoretically, you could breathe lightning all day in an anti-magic field as a Dragonborn.
Or a dragon, for that matter.
Or a dragon could just do that. Odd how we're like, I don't know about Dragonborn, but dragons, sure, they can breathe blizzards all day long. Tesla says anti-magic zone, detect magic shows everything negative. Wild magic zone, detect magic makes you spaz out and have a stroke. Oh, geez, you're just twitching on the ground. Oh, the snozberries taste like snozberries. Have fun with the roleplay in that regard. So things to think about then as well. Interactions with magic. Oh my goodness, one more to stir your noodle before a break here. What happens if someone puts Nistel's aura on you? And it suppresses, because Nistel's is kind of a reflavoring, I guess. So you could reflavor things, in a way, or you could suppress with it. But after a point in time, Nistel's aura interacts with your body and even makes you undetectable if you cast it enough times. That's actually something
whack.
Bright's working on in our campaign on Tuesdays.
I love Nistel's aura. It's a very underused spell. Man, I don't know. I'd have to think about this. My brain.
I'm gonna get up and take a break. Jeremy, do you need to go, or do you want to stick around for the second Barbarian? It'll obviously go quicker because we've gone over the discussion of initial things.
Yeah, unfortunately, I do gotta run because I gotta get up for work in the morning.
No, that's fine. Thank you for your time. I hope I didn't keep you too long.
Oh no, I had a blast. Thanks for having me.
It was so
Maddie.
much fun. All right.
Yeah.
I unfortunately I don't have a JPEG-remy to post up here like you all do when you're not on stream on your place. But in TrustAFlumph, a.k.a. Jeremy's spirit, we will come back from break and we will pound out another Barbarian of the Primal Path, and we'll have to start imagining what a party would be like with these two in it. So everyone, 10 minutes and I'll be back. Say goodbye to Jeremy. And for any of you who are here, welcome. Anyone going, have a good night yourselves. And we'll be back shortly.
Good night.